Shalom, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Barakatham to the brothers, Yahweh Shamar Latham Ba'Shem Yahshai to the sisters. I am priest and officer Shargapan of the Israelite School of Universal Product of Knowledge. Started out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General YAHANNA. And since 1969, we have been teaching so-called Negroes, so-called Hispanics, so-called Native Americans, who are really the same people and went by the name of Israel back in ancient times, that we are the real children of God. We are the real Israelites. We make up the 12 tribes of Israel. And today, on this supposedly December 25th, many people, many Black, Hispanic, Native American people are going to be celebrating a holiday that people know and call Christmas, that people call as the day that Jesus Christ was born. A day where people have trees on it, have trees in their houses decorated with silver and gold and balls and all types of ornaments and a star or angel on top, where people put presents and gifts underneath the tree, where people put the tree in a tree stand so that way it stands erect, where people gather together and surround and bow down in front of the Christmas tree, where people gather together and go from house to house to see different family members, to exchange gifts and eat all types of abominable food like pork and crab and shrimp. So today we're going to be talking about Christmas. So what you all need to do, like we do every single Wednesday, is grab your notebooks. This one you want to put in a notebook called History, because we're going to be going into the history of Christmas and how Christmas came to be. All right? Like always, you need a Bible. I strongly suggest a King James, authorized King James version of the Bible, not the New King James or anything like that. The authorized King James Bible. Get yourself an Apocrypha, an authorized King James Apocrypha, or you can kill two birds with one stone and just buy the authorized King James 1611 Bible. You always want to have a dictionary on hand. I prefer to use the Merriam-Webster's dictionary or free dictionary online. You can have a hard copy. You always want in your arsenal of learning tools a Zondervan Pictorial Bible Dictionary. Great information on there when trying to learn and understand different people, places, terms, words that you come across in the Bible. And you also want a pen, because today, a pen or a pencil, because today you're going to be taking a lot of notes. I will be providing to you different sites that you can read along and follow along with me. I suggest you copy them down, write them down, write the names of these articles down, because they are extremely important, especially since we're going to be learning about the history of Christmas. So today, like the title is, it's beginning to feel a lot like Christmas. But we have to understand, what does that really mean? What does it feels like Christmas mean? Where did that come from? Why is it that in 2019, Black, Hispanic, and Native American people celebrates a day called Christmas? How did it come to America? How did the Christian church, the Catholic Church, adopt such a religion? All right. So this is what we're going to be going over today. So for all of you who don't know, we have a YouTube page. I'm putting the link to the YouTube page in the chat. Make sure you please go on there, subscribe, like, hit the bell notification. That way you can see more updates when we do go live, all right? So what I would like for you all to do right now, I would like for you to all go open up your Bibles, go to Proverbs chapter 22. Right, Proverbs chapter 22. And we're going to start from verse 6. Proverbs chapter 22, verse 6. Now it says, Proverbs chapter 22, verse 6. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. So here in 2018, our parents have been taught by their grandparents, have been taught by their grandparents, have been taught by their grandparents to celebrate American customs and holidays. And here in 2019, we have Black, Hispanic, and Native American men and women celebrating the customs and holidays of America, right? And one such holiday is what people call Christmas. So we have to understand, well, where did Christmas come from? How did Christmas begin to be such a dominant and popular and a worldwide celebrated holiday? How did the Catholic Church, the Christian Church, adopt such a holiday in their religion, in their customs, and push that it should be a sacred holiday, a religious holiday that all Christians and Catholics and those who believe in Jesus Christ should be celebrated all around this world, all around this globe? Well, I'm here to tell you that we should be training our children to not celebrate Christmas. We should be training our children that Christmas is not a custom that Black, Hispanic, and Native American people should be following. We should be training our children up to understand that Santa Claus does not exist. We should be training our children and let them know that we should not be putting Christmas trees and standing them up inside of our homes. We should be training our children up to let them know that we should not be exchanging gifts and feel the need and urge because of our oppressors tell us to exchange gifts and go door to door to give different gifts to people on December 25th, what the world calls Christmas. What we should be training our children up to, what we should be training our children to do is to not celebrate Christmas and to celebrate the high holy day or the high feast day of Hanukkah, the Feast of Dedication, where our ancestors fought against these white people, these Greeks, these oppressors, these devils who murdered, slaughtered, robbed, raped us, destroyed our temple, stole from us. And how a few good men decided to stand for the Lord and rally the people up to fight back against these devils, to fight back against these oppressors, to fight back against the Greeks and take back our temple and to save our people. All right? So, drop that. And let's go to 1 Thessalonians 5 and 21. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 21. And when we teach our children these things, there's a great chance that they will not depart from this at all. There's a great chance that our people, as they get older, because they were taught not to celebrate such customs and holidays, such as Christmas, they'll grow up and they'll teach their sons and their children not to celebrate these days because it goes against what the Lord wanted, because it goes against what we should be obeying and following. All right? So 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 21, it says, prove all things, hold fast that which is good. So the Bible is always telling us to prove all things. The Bible wants us to prove the things that we say, to prove whether Christmas is a real holiday or whether Christmas is not a real holiday, to prove whether or not Christmas is a day that Black, Hispanic, and Native American people should be celebrating. And the answer is no. And today we're going to be proving that Christmas is not a real holiday. Today we're going to be proving that Christmas should not be celebrated. Today we're going to be proving how the devil, our oppressors, the white man, the African man, the Asian man, all these different races of people, how they got Black, Hispanic, and Native American people to be celebrating a holiday called Christmas. When in actuality, Christmas is an ancient, the customs of Christmas is an ancient pagan custom dating all the way back to Babylon, to Egypt, to Greece, to Rome, to the Middle Ages, and even here when it became a federal holiday in 1870. So what we're going to do is like the Bible says, which is to prove all things. And we're going to prove all things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to provide a link for you. That way you can read and follow along. It's from history.com. I don't know if you ever heard of the History Channel. I don't know if you ever seen the History Channel. I don't know if you ever how to do reports for school or whatnot, and you use the source history.com. But this article is from the website history.com. All right? So I want you all to click on this article. And we're gonna read this. We're gonna read this article. This is gonna be one of the many articles we might bring out, or sources we might bring out today, to help and further prove that Christmas is a lie, and Black, Hispanic, and Native American people should not be celebrating Christmas. That the Catholic Church has taken you and steered you away from the Lord. How the Christian Church has taken you and steered you away from the Lord, and have you worshiping a holiday that has nothing to do with little baby Jesus or Jesus' birth. All right? So let's begin. So if you click on the link, it brings you to history.com. And we're gonna scroll past and go to where it says, how did Christmas start? It says, the middle of winter has long been a time of celebration around the world. Centuries before the arrival of the man called Jesus, early Europeans celebrated light and birth in the darkest days of winter. Many people rejoiced during the winter solstice, when the worst of the winter was behind them, and they could look forward to longer days and extended hours of sunlight. In Scandinavia, the Horse celebrated Yule from December 21st, the winter solstice, to January, in recognition of the return of the sun. Fathers and sons would bring home, in Scandinavia, the Norse celebrated Yule from December 21st, the winter solstice, through January. In recognition of the return of the sun, fathers and sons would bring home large logs, which they would set on fire. The people would feast until the log burnt out, which could take as many as 12 days. The Norse believed that each spark from the fire represented a new pig or calf that would be born during the coming year. So here we're learning about how even before the birth of baby Jesus, right, that the Christian and Catholic Church perpetuates all across the earth, we're learning how many different cultures and races of people celebrated or had celebrations and festivals and feast days and religious days during this month of December, during the winter solstice, during the winter months. And we're learning how Scandinavia, who had Norse gods and like Odin and Thor and Loki, and how they burnt Yule logs, big logs, right? And that they will party for as many as they will feast and party for as many as 12 days. And they believed that the fire represented, that each spark from the fire represented a new pig or a new calf that will be born to them during the new year, during the coming new year, right? We scroll down a bit and we see that the end of December was a perfect time for celebration in most areas of Europe. At that time of year, most cattle were slaughtered so that they would not have to be fed, during the winter. For many, it was the only time of year when they had a supply of fresh meat. In addition, most wine and beer made during the year was finally fermented and ready for drink. In Germany, people honored the pagan god Odin during the midwinter holiday. Germans were terrified of Odin, as they believed he made nocturnal flights through the sky to observe his people and then decide who would prosper or perish. Kind of similar to Santa Claus knowing who's naughty and nice and flying across the world at night to drop presents off. Because of his presence, many people chose to stay inside. So here we're starting to learn that before the birth of a so-called baby Jesus, before the Christian and Catholic Church made December 25th the day of Jesus' birth and sanctified it as Christmas, and that we should be celebrating Christmas, many cultures all around the world had a day during the winter months in December where they had some type of celebration or feast or a religious day for them. Right? Let's get back to this article. Now we are getting into the Roman festival called Saturnalia, and this is one of the main sources where the Catholic and Christian Church created the holiday of Christmas and combined it with the Roman festival of Saturnalia, which was a feast day, a festival dedicated to the Roman god called Saturn. All right? So Saturnalia. In Rome, where winters were not as harsh as those in the far north, Saturnalia, a holiday in honor of Saturn, the god of agriculture, was celebrated. Beginning in the week leading up to the winter solstice and continuing for a full month. So this holiday to honor Saturn was for a month long. Saturnalia was a heathenistic time when food and drink were plentiful and the normal Roman social order was turned upside down. For a month, slaves would become masters, peasants were in command of the city, business and schools were closed so that everyone could join in the fun. So this festival of Saturnalia, everything was topsy-turvy. Everything was upside down. You had the Roman elites acting like slaves, and you had slaves acting like the masters of Roman elites. You had food and drink and debauchery running rampant through Roman culture. You had businesses and schools closed, just like on this day. How many businesses and school systems all across the world are closed this day, especially up here in Newburgh and Yonkers and Spring Valley and Haverstraw and Pleasantville and Peekskill and Pomona and Mount Vernon and Eastchester, right? So on this day, just like in Christmas, how you have the 25 days of Christmas or the days leading up to Christmas and after Christmas, people are eating, people are getting drunk, you know? I'm going to scroll a little down. It says, the next paragraph, it says, also around the time of winter solstice, Romans observed Juvenalia, a feast honoring the children of Rome. In addition, members of the upper classes often celebrated the birthday of Mithra, the god of the unconquerable sun, on December 25th. It is believed that Mithra, an infant god, was born of a rock. For some Romans, Mithra's birthday was the most sacred day of the year. So we're starting to notice something similar. How the Catholic Church, the Roman Catholic Church, said that Jesus Christ was born, his birthday was on December 25th. And we are learning here that in the Roman custom, the Roman tradition, the Roman belief, and the Roman way of life, the upper class, the elites, the people that ruled and had power and control, they believed that a god called Mithra was born on December 25th. And he was an infant god born of a rock. So we see some comparisons to why the Catholic Church says that Christ was born on December 25th. And we see that the Romans believe that Mithra, a god of the unconquerable sun, of the god of the sun, was also born on December 25th. But that's not all. There's many different gods that people say and claim that were born on December 25th, right? Before we continue, I want to add another link to give you all some more information on Saturnalia. All right? So I'm adding this new link as well. It is from history.com. So you can click this link, right? And we can get some information more about Saturnalia. All right? So click this link and we're going to read a little bit more. So it says Saturnalia, held in mid-December, is an ancient Roman pagan festival honoring the agricultural god Saturn. Saturnalia celebrations are the source of many of the traditions we now associate with Christmas. So we're learning how Saturnalia is basically the basis, the foundation of what we now call Christmas. So what is Saturnalia? Saturnalia, the most popular holiday on the ancient Roman calendar, derived from older farming-related rituals of midwinter and the winter solstice. So all this festival, this worship of the god of Saturn, all were in midwinter, all were surrounded around the winter solstice. Especially the practice of offering gifts or sacrifices to the gods during the winter sowing season. The pagan celebration of Saturn, the Roman god of agriculture and time, began as a single day. But by the late Republic, from 133 to 31 BC, just about 100 years, it expanded to a week-long festival beginning December 17th. On the Julian calendar, which the Romans used at the time, the winter solstice fell on December 25th. Now we're going to learn how the Romans celebrated Saturnalia. We're going to learn how the Catholic Church adopted the foundations of Saturnalia to create this false holiday called Christmas, who many believe that Jesus Christ was born on. So it says, during Saturnalia, work and business came to a halt, schools and courts of law closed, and the normal social patterns were suspended. People decorated their homes with wreaths and other greenery, kind of similar to today when we see wreaths on people's doors and we see all types of green in people's houses like the Christmas tree, but we'll get to that in a few. And shed their traditional togas in favor of colorful clothes known as synthesis. Even slaves did not have to work during Saturnalia, but were allowed to participate in the festivities. In some cases, they sat at the head of the table while the masters served them. Instead of working, Romans spent Saturnalia gambling, singing, playing music, feasting, socializing, and giving each other gifts, kind of similar to what we do on Christmas. People spend money, they gamble, they sing all types of Christmas songs like "Oh Christmas Tree" or Christmas Tree and the Rubber Pum Pum, the Drummer Boy. They play music. There's always music playing around. I know many Hispanic households are going to be playing all types of bachata, merengue, and salsa. I know in many black people's homes, they're going to be selling all types of R&B and soul and hip hop Christmas songs, right? And everyone's going to be feasting, eating all types of abominable food like pig, the main dish cooked all across the Black, Hispanic, and Native American family dining table, socializing with each other and giving each other presents, giving each other gifts, gift giving like they do on Christmas, which is what they did on Saturnalia. It says wax taper candles were called seri, were common gifts during Saturnalia to signify light returning after the solstice. On the last day of Saturnalia celebrations, known as the Sigillaria, many Romans gave their friends and loved ones small terracotta figurines known as Sigillaria, which may have referred back to older celebrations involving human sacrifices. So there's a strong possibility that on the last day they gave each other gifts, figurines, that involved human sacrifices even further back before the celebration of Saturnalia. So Saturnalia was by far the jolliest just like Christmas is the jolliest Roman holiday or Roman Catholic holiday. The Roman poet Catullus famously described it as the best of times. So riotous were the festivities that the Roman author Pliny reported built a soundproof room so that he could work during the raucous celebrations. All right? Now, if you want to know that, now we scroll further down, it says, is Christmas a pagan holiday? And it says, thanks to the Roman Empire's conquest in Britain and the rest of Europe from the 2nd century BC to the 4th century AD. So for about 600 years, when Rome was conquering the world, right? Their suppression of older seasonal rites practiced by the Celts and other groups. Today, Western cultures derive many of their traditional celebrations of midwinter from Saturnalia. So as Rome were conquering the known world, they were suppressing other people's midwinter beliefs or their beliefs in celebrating their own holidays during this December month, during the winter solstice. And many Western cultures, like here in America, we get our Christmas celebrations from Saturnalia. The Christian holiday of Christmas especially owes many of its traditions to the ancient Roman festival, including the time of year Christmas is celebrated. The Bible does not give a date for Jesus' birth. In fact, some theologians have concluded that he was probably born in spring, as suggested by references to shepherds and sheep in the nativity story. So, for proof, let's all go to Luke chapter 2. Luke chapter 2, and read about the birth, somewhat of the birth of Jesus Christ, and give us an idea of the time frame of when he was actually born. Right? Luke chapter 2, verse 1. And it came to pass in those days that there was a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed. So Augustus Caesar, right? He wanted to impose a tax on the entire empire. Verse 2. And this taxing was first made when Cyrenius was governor of Syria. Verse 3. And all went to be taxed, everyone into his own city. So every person under the Roman Empire, every Roman citizen, right, citizen of the empire, had to go back to their native land, had to go back to their homeland for this tax time to be taxed, so that tax can be collected. Verse 4. And Joseph also went up from Galilee, out of the city of Nazareth, into Judea, onto the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house and lineage of David. So Joseph, the father of Jesus Christ, took him and his wife from Galilee all the way to the city of David, because he was from the house of David and he was from the seed, the lineage of David. He was a descendant of King David. Verse 5, to be taxed with Mary, his espoused wife, being great with child. And he went there with Mary, his wife, and the child who was pregnant with the child, Jesus. Chapter 6. And so it was that while they were there, the days were accomplished that she should be delivered. Verse 7, and she brought forth her firstborn son and wrapped him in a swaddling cloth and laid him in a manger, because there was no room for them in the inn. And when they got there, when they got to the area, Mary ended up giving birth to Jesus Christ. Right? Verse 8, and there were in the same country shepherds abiding in the field, keeping watch over their flock by night. So at the same time that Christ is being born, we see shepherds out in the field watching their sheep, watching their flock, watching their goats, caring for their livestock who are grazing the land. Right? So now we see we have two times. We have two times. We have Christ being born during the tax time, which most commonly is in the spring and fall, right? We have shepherds watching over their sheep, their cattle, their livestock, which they would not be doing in winter months, because in winter months it would be extremely cold. It would be excessively cold, and lots of plants die. Lots of the greenery that sheep and goat and cattle and horse eat and all that will be dead or almost non-existent. So there's no way that Jesus Christ, could have been born during the winter solstice, during the Roman time of festival of Saturnalia, during the winter. There's no way he could be born on December 25th. There's so many hints and clues that show that he was actually born during the spring. Let's get back to this article. Right? But by the 4th century AD, Western Christian churches settled on celebrating Christmas on December 25th, which allowed them to incorporate the holiday with Saturnalia and other popular pagan midwinter traditions. Right? Pagans and Christians coexisted, not always happily, during this period, and this likely represented an effort to convince the remaining pagan Romans to accept Christianity as Rome's official religion. Right? Before the end of the 4th century, many of the traditions of Saturnalia, including giving gifts, singing, lighting candles, feasting, and merrymaking, had become absorbed by the traditions of Christmas as many of us know them today. So here we see how the Roman Catholic Church wanted the Roman citizens, and as the Roman Empire grew, they suppressed the celebrations of other people's beliefs and traditions of having some type of religious holiday or festival during the winter solstice, during the winter, during the month of December. And instead, the Holy Roman Empire, when Rome finally fell, they had everyone, they did everything they could to combine Saturnalia for everyone to accept Christmas. Because since Christ wasn't born on December 25th, since the Bible doesn't show or prove that he was born on December 25th, since the Bible actually shows and proves that he was born sometime during the spring, during the tax season, during the season when shepherds were watching their flock, they wanted this religion of Catholicism to be grasped. They wanted the religion of Christianity to have all the followers and all the people of the Roman Empire to finally convert, to finally accept Christianity as their main religion and abandon the ways of their ancestors. All right? To everyone that's now joining, Shalom, Yahweh Bashim Yashar Bargathum. To the brothers, Yahweh Shamar Latham Bashim Yashai. To the sisters, this class is all about the history of Christmas. We're breaking it down from Yule Day to Saturnalia. We're going to get into some more history as well. All right? Now, everyone that's joining us on Facebook, I encourage you all to go on YouTube. I'm putting the link right here. Go on YouTube and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe, like, share, hit that notification button every time. You'll be one of the first to know when there's a new video that pops out, when there's a new class, when there's a new live stream. So take some time, log on to that YouTube channel and hit subscribe, Baba Kasham. And let's get back into this, right? So now we're learning about how the Catholic Church, the Christian Church, wanted people to worship and convert to Christianity and Catholicism, and how they took the ideas and the traditions and customs of these different pagan beliefs like Saturnalia, and they combined it to create Christmas to further engage the people and entice them to abandon their old ways and accept this new way that the church wanted them to be. So I want you all to turn to Matthew chapter 6, verse 24. Right? Matthew chapter 6, verse 24. I'll give you some time to get there. All right? Now, whenever you see the letters written in red, this is how you know, this is what you should accept and understand, that the letters written in red are the words of Christ. These are Christ's words that are being recorded, all right? Matthew chapter 6, verse 24. No man can serve two masters, For either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will not hold to the one and despise the other. Ye cannot serve God and Mammon. So, in 2019, all you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, who are you going to serve? Are you going to serve the Catholic and Christian Church? Or are you going to serve the Most High God? Are you going to serve our oppressors, the white men? Or are you going to serve the Lord? Are you going to serve the fake holiday called Christmas and what it stands for? Or are you going to serve the Lord? Right? You got to choose one. You can't serve both of them. You can't serve the white man and you can't serve God at the same time. Because the white man, our oppressor, does not keep the Lord's high holy days, does not keep the Lord's festivals and feast days, does not honor God, doesn't obey or follow God. So are you gonna obey someone that goes against God, or are you gonna obey God himself, the Lord himself? You can't serve both. Let's go to Exodus chapter 23, verse 24. Exodus chapter 23, verse 24. Because here in 2018, many people think that you can serve God and still celebrate Easter, still celebrate Thanksgiving, still celebrate Christmas, still celebrate Three Kings Day, which is popular among the northern tribes. You can't celebrate these days that were forced on you, pushed on you. Either you were killed or you accepted these days. You can't keep honoring these days and think you're going to be serving the Lord or think that you love God. Exodus chapter 23, verse 24. Thou shalt not bow down to their gods, nor serve them, nor do after their works, but thou shalt utterly overthrow them and quite break down their images. We can't be bowing down to serve these other gods, to serve this Christmas tree, to serve Santa Claus, to serve Christmas and its Saturnalia traditions and roots. We can't be doing that, right? Which leads us to the Christmas tree. Many of our people bow down to this Christmas tree. They bow down, they gather around, they sit down, or in front and around the Christmas tree, under the Christmas tree with presents, and they serve them. They take the gifts all out of the Christmas tree. They give them to other people. But it says, but thou shalt utterly overthrow them and quite break down their images. But in fact, we should be destroying these Christmas trees. We should, and now, don't take that the wrong way. I'm not telling you to go to your mom's house, your dad's house, your auntie's house. I'm not telling you to go into the street where they're selling Christmas trees and destroy them. What I'm saying is this is what we should have done in those days and what we were supposed to. In today's day and age, all you gotta do is not go to your mom's house when they're celebrating Christmas. Show that you're better. Show them that you're overthrowing this holiday, this false day. Break down their images. Take everything out of your house that relates or has anything to do with these fake holidays like Christmas. Throw them all out, because you can't bow down to their gods and think that you're going to still bow down to the Lord. Like Matthew chapter 6 said, verse 24, you can't serve both. You can't serve two masters, right? So I'm going to put another link for you guys to follow. I'm posting it right now. That way you all can click on it and read along. All right. Everyone that's joining in, Shalom, Yahweh Bashim Yashai Barakatham. To the brothers, Yahweh Shemalatham Bashim Yashai. To the sisters. All right, make sure you all click on that attendance. It's very important to take your attendance. That way you can show how dedicated you are to changing your life. All right. Get involved in this truth. Shed yourself of the world. We're going over Christmas, the history of Christmas today. All right. Make sure you click the link for our YouTube channel. That way you can go join and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And let's get into this. Let's get into this link that I just posted. All right. Now this one's gonna be talking about the Christmas tree. So we are learning how Saturnalia had a big influence in the Christian holiday, the Catholic holiday of Christmas. How the Catholic priests and popes and Christians adopted Saturnalia to make Christmas. We're gonna read about the Christmas tree, all right? This is just one source out of thousands that you could probably find on the Christmas tree, all right? It says, the pagan belief surrounding Christmas, the Christmas tree. It is safe to say that the Christmas tree is one of the most recognized symbols of Christmas, because it is. If you're celebrating Christmas, there's a Christmas tree somewhere in your house. If not 2, 3, 4, 5, there's one at least. Whether it's a real tree or a fake plastic tree that you break apart, put in a cardboard box, and tuck away in your attic or your closet somewhere. Yet the origins of Christmas tree are not clear. There is a legend that Saint Boniface started the custom of the Christmas tree in Germany around the 8th century. It is said that Saint Boniface found a group of pagans worshiping an oak tree and became angry. Consequently, he proceeded to cut down the oak tree. Immediately, a small fir tree is said to have sprouted from the middle of the oak stump and reached to the sky. Thus, St. Boniface told the onlookers that this would be their holy tree because it was an evergreen, a symbol of everlasting life. So we see how the Christmas trees are evergreen trees, right? Trees that always have green on them all throughout the season, no matter what. They never die. They never shed their leaves. These pine trees, these evergreen trees, right? And this saint, the Catholic Church calls a saint, decided to abandon his belief in God and say that these pagans, their God was good and great, because when he cut down their tree that they were worshiping, it grew immediately and reached all the way to the sky. That's serving two masters. Just like it says in Matthew chapter 6, verse 24. So Saint Boniface, he's not no saint to me. So this Boniface person decided to serve two masters, decided to say that this tree was holy because the pagans were worshiping it, and after he chopped it down, it grew again, and said that this was a symbol of everlasting life. Right? Let's keep going. Historically, an oak tree named Irminsul, meaning great pillar, was in fact venerated by the Saxon tribes of Germany as a symbol of their chief god. So this tree, this evergreen tree, this oak tree, was a symbol of their god, of their chief god, of the Saxon gods, the people that live in Germany, right? Their chief god called Tiw, also known as Saxna, located in the vicinity of the modern town of Geotingen. The Irminsul was destroyed on the orders of the Frankish Emperor Charlemagne during the late 8th century. So during the 8th century, this all that was destroyed by the Frankish Emperor Charlemagne as part of a military campaign to subdue the Saxons and convert them to Christianity. So what they did was they decided to destroy these pagans' beliefs and force them into accepting Christianity. Kind of similar to what the Christian church did, what the Catholic Church did to the so-called Hispanics and Native Americans, destroying whatever fake beliefs we had going on or the real worship of the Most High God, and got them to abandon that and to go and worship the Christian belief, the Catholic belief, which will be Christmas. Right? It says, although many versions of the story exist, many authorities believe that the true origins come from Egypt. Bill McLean writes, on December 21st, the shortest day of the year, ancient Egyptians decorated their homes with green palm branches to symbolize life's triumph over death. Before Christianity, plants and trees that remained green throughout the year were believed to have special meaning for people in winter. McLean continues explaining Romans used evergreens to decorate their homes during the winter festivals of Saturnalia, which honored Saturn, the god of farming. And see, we're seeing Saturnalia being mentioned once again. So not only did these European people have customs of trees symbolizing some type of everlasting life or symbolizing their god, but it was also what the Romans did in Saturnalia, where they got evergreen trees, brought it into their homes, decorated them for the festival of Saturnalia. Similar to Christmas, how people go into the streets, buy Christmas trees, bring it into their house, and decorate it for Christmas. In addition, ancient Druids, a member of an order of priests in ancient Gaul and Britain, who appear in Welsh and Irish legend as prophets and sorcerers, were known to place evergreen branches over doors to frighten away evil spirits. So these ancient Druids would get evergreen branches and put them on doors because they believed it frightened away spirits. It says, people decorate the trees with baubles and tinsel to make it look really pretty and to impress guests. Lights are put up outside houses as well to impress people in the cars driving past. So just like they decorated the trees to look pretty, best believe that mom, dad, grandma, auntie, and all them people, they're decorating that Christmas tree to look beautiful and what they consider to be glorious, but it's not. All right? Let me give you another link for you to follow and read along with. I'm posting the link right now for you to follow, open up. All right, so make sure you click on that link. This is some other information used to help you understand the history of Christmas practices. Now, there's a lot of stuff in here that you can read on your own, talking about Easter, the Babylon religion of Ishtar and all that, right? But I want you to scroll down to where it actually says Xmas tree, right? And we're going to start from there. When you get time, read this whole thing just to give yourself a greater insight and some more information about Christmas and all these other holidays like Easter and how it all combines into Christmas. So Xmas tree. It was an early Babylonian custom to go out and place a gift on a tree at the winter solstice, December 25th, as an offering to Tammuz or Nimrod, who was after his death believed to be the sun. So just like we put gifts underneath the Christmas tree, in Babylon, it was a custom to put gifts and offerings underneath a tree to offer to a god called Tammuz or to a god called Nimrod, right? Who was believed to be the sun god. In ancient Babylon, these gifts were placed in the groves on winter solstice. So groves are places where they plant trees and orchards, right? So these gifts, they were put in these groves, underneath these trees, just like Christians and Catholics, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are putting gifts underneath that Christmas tree that they put in their house. Excuse me. The Christmas tree represented Nimrod to the ancient sun worshippers. And we'll read about it momentarily in Jeremiah chapter 10. And sunrise worship service involving branches were even found in Ezekiel chapter 8, verse 17. Many pagan cultures used to cut boughs of evergreen trees in December, moving them into the home or temple and decorate them often with gold balls. Now we learned about this. We learned about the Yules, how they would cut the trees down and use them as Yules and burn them, for some lasting for 12 days. We learned about how the Romans would bring in their trees, evergreen trees, into their houses and temples and decorate them for Saturnalia. We learned about how the German Saxons worshiped trees, right, and decorated them. We learned about the Druids putting evergreen branches on doors to to scare away evil spirits, right? And here we're learning more about how pagans used to cut down trees, evergreen trees, in December, not in September, not in August, not in February, not in June or May or October, but in December. Move them into their homes or temples, just like in December, we go cut down trees, we buy trees that have been cut down, and we move them into our homes, and we decorate them often with gold balls and all types of Christmas trees. Not only will you see gold balls, gold ornaments, you'll see silver, you'll see blue, you'll see red, sometimes you'll see purple. You'll see all types of decorations. Modern day pagans still do, like Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans who practice Christmas or who celebrate Christmas. You're considered to be a pagan because you don't do what the Lord said to do. You do what the Catholic Church and what the Christian has gotten you to follow and obey. The evergreen trees came to symbolize the everlasting life and resurrection of the resurrection power of the God they worship, who originally was Nimrod. So when you have this Christmas tree in your house, you're not worshiping God. In fact, you're worshiping this God, this false god called Nimrod. He came to be incorporated into many cultures under different names. So the evergreen tree became representative of Nimrod, the sun god himself, and it was a form of worship and veneration of the sun god to take it to one's home, place gifts to him at his base. Just like people go and get a Christmas tree and put gifts underneath it. You're actually worshiping and venerating a false Babylonian deity, a false Babylonian god by the name of Nimrod. You're not honoring God. You're not honoring baby Jesus. You're doing it for a fake god called Nimrod that's been around since the time of Babylonians. You actually read about Nimrod in the book of Genesis, how he created and established the Babylonian Empire, the cities of Babel and other cities, and how he tried to build a tower up to God to fight the Most High. Hence, the tradition of placing gifts at the base of this altar, because that's what you have in your house. You have an altar in your house when you set up a Christmas tree in your house. You're putting an altar in your own home. Hence, the tradition of placing gifts at the base of this altar to the sun god. Putting tinsel around the tree comes from the practice of tying a ribbon around the tree as a prayer to the sun. And when you put the lights, the tinsel around it, it was actually, in ancient times, a prayer to the sun god. So when you do that, you're basically giving a prayer to the God of the sun, to Nimrod. And it's not for the Lord. It's not for the Most High God of Israel. It's not the God of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. It's some fake god that Babylonians used to worship. And how that custom still carried on and assimilated into Christianity, into Christmas. So we got Saturnalia, we got the worship of Nimrod and the Christmas tree. We got all these different customs and traditions that have been combined into Christmas, just so Black, Hispanic, and Native American people can sin, can commit abominations to the Lord. A similar practice referred to in Scripture was raising an obelisk, a phallic symbol, next to a tree as an altar for God, represented by the tree. This was called an Asherah. An Asherah pillar was forbidden to God's people. Right? It says the Asherim were considered altars where animals and humans were ritually sacrificed. So in these altars, right, not only animals, but humans were sacrificed ritually, daily. This altar was often a tree stump with the trunk snapped off, leaving jagged spike-like splinters. The Christmas tree phenomenon is also a type of altar where gifts and offerings are placed. It's not a type of altar, it is an altar. Putting a Christmas tree in your home is an altar because you're putting gifts and offerings underneath it in its place. The Solstice tree is drawn directly from the pagan worship rendered for public consumption. Tree worship is the most prominent feature. However, the serpent gets involved also. right? And we don't need to read all that rest of that stuff. And we're going to end this link, right? And let's get back into some scriptures. So we learned about this Christmas tree. We're learning about Saturnalia. We learned about the Babylonian fake god called Nimrod and Tammuz, and how people would worship him as the sun god and build altars to him and put gifts underneath evergreen trees, right? We're learning about all this. Now let's learn about what the Bible says about this. I need all of you, Baba Shah, to turn to Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 2. Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 2. Because many people say that Christmas is not in the Bible, and it is not in the Bible. And I would like to add that we see the customs and culture of heathens that are in the Bible that have been taken to celebrate Christmas. All right? Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 2. Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen. The Lord is trying to tell us that we shouldn't be following the customs and culture and practices and traditions of these heathens, because the heathens worship Nimrod. The heathens believe that Nimrod was the sun god. The heathens believe that Nimrod grew from a tree and that we're supposed to put gifts underneath the tree for Nimrod. The heathens believed in Saturnalia. The heathens believed in celebrating Saturnalia and giving gifts and decorating their homes with trees and putting gold balls on them. The heathens worship trees. The heathens do all these type of things that we learn about in Christmas. And be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathens are dismayed at them. And let's not worry about the winter solstice. Let's not worry about how the days get shorter, that the light gets dimmer, that it gets darker for a longer period of time during the winter. Let's not worry about that, because the heathens worry about that. That's why the heathens had so many celebrations and festivals during the December, because they paid attention to the signs of the heaven, because they worried about them so much. They had Saturnalia, they had Yule Day and Yule logs. They had all these different things. But we're not heathen. Black, Hispanic, and Native American people, we're not heathens. We may celebrate and do heathen cultures and heathen customs because we're under the oppressor. We're under the oppression of heathens. We're under the oppression of the devil. We're under the oppression of the white man and the African man and the Asian man and the Arab man. So we end up celebrating days like Christmas and Thanksgiving and Kwanzaa and Easter, right? Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 3. For the customs of the people are vain. Because these customs that these peoples have, their celebrations, their Saturnalias, their Yule Day, they're cutting down a tree and decorating and putting gifts underneath it. The customs of them giving gifts to people, they're vain. It's all pointless. It's all good for nothing. It has no worth. It has no meaning. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the work of the hands of the workman with the axe. Because in ancient times, like we learned about in Babylon and Nimrod, like we learned about during Yule log, like we learned about the Yule log, like we learned about in Saturnalia, like we learned about the ancient Druids and Celts and the Saxons, right? They all would go and cut a tree out of the forest, an evergreen tree out of the forest, right? And an axe was used, or some type of sawing device was used to cut down this tree. The hands of the workmen, the men would go out into these forests to get these trees, to cut them down or chop them down. Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 4. They deck it with silver and with gold. And we learned about it in Saturnalia, how the Romans would deck it with gold balls. We learned about it in honoring Nimrod, the fake god of the Babylonians, decorating it with silver tinsel, just like in Christmas, where they decorate with balls of silver and gold, and they're all jolly, and they put Christmas lights that flash red and blue and pink, and the LGBT colors and all that nonsense, right? They fasten it with nails and with hammers that it move not. And this tree that all these heathen people do, just like Black, Hispanic, and Native American people do on Christmas, they put the tree in their house and they fasten it so that way it stands up and it doesn't move. They put it in a tree stand, they hammer nails into it, they screw it with nails so that way it stays still, erect, and it does not move. We're learning about it in Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 4. How back then people were doing this, how heathens were doing this. Just like right now in 2019, the Catholic and Christian church has gotten Black, Hispanic, and Native American people to do these heathenistic customs, to do these abominable customs, to celebrate Christmas where they put a tree, a pine tree, an evergreen tree that never loses its branches, that never loses its leaves no matter what season it is. And they stand it up and hold it in place so it doesn't move or fall with hammers and nails and screws. Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 5. Right? They are upright as the palm tree. Now these trees, they stand upright and still, just like the palm tree did. Right? But speak not. These Christmas trees are supposed to be gods. The evergreen tree was supposed to be a god and worship and holy. But they don't speak. These Christmas trees don't speak. They don't open their mouths. They don't tell you whether you've been good or nice or naughty. They don't tell you what Nimrod said to do. However, putting gifts underneath that Christmas tree, kids know that they've been good. Kids know that they've been good because they see gifts underneath the Christmas tree for them. People know that it's a time to come and celebrate because they see all the gold and silver balls around the Christmas tree. And that speaks to them and tells them that it's a time of celebration and time to gather together. But in actuality, that tree doesn't speak. Just like idols and statues and graven images, they don't speak. They must needs be born. A Christmas tree can't do anything. It doesn't speak. You have to carry that Christmas tree in. You have to cut it down, put it on your shoulders, carry it from the forest, carry it from the street into your home. They must needs be born. You have to do everything for this tree that's already dying. You put a dying tree in your house, and you have to do everything for it. You have to stand it up. You have to put water in the Christmas stand to try to keep it alive for however long, to make the pine needles branch out. I don't know what they do, because they cannot go. And the reason why you have to carry this Christmas tree, this evergreen tree, the reason why the Babylonians, the Romans, the Druids, the Celts, the Saxons, the reason why they had to carry their tree that they cut down and bring it into the house was because they cannot go. The tree cannot move on its own. The tree can't get up and walk. They have to be carried. Their knees must be born because they cannot go. But listen, be not afraid of them. Don't be afraid of not celebrating Christmas. Don't worry about what your father says. Don't worry about what your mother says. Don't worry about what your grandma, your abuela says, your jima, your titi, your auntie. Don't worry, don't care. Don't worry about what any of them say. Be not afraid of them. Be not afraid of not celebrating Christmas. Don't be afraid that you're going to be hated by your family for not visiting them during the Christmas holiday. Do not be afraid of your family because you didn't buy them gifts. Don't be afraid of your mom because you didn't go give her a gift on Christmas and give her a kiss on the cheek and tell her you love her. Don't be afraid of them, for they cannot do evil. This holiday can't do evil to you. Your family, they can't do evil to you for not celebrating this day that is considered to be sacred. This day that is lied and said that Christ was born on it. They can't do evil to you. You standing with the Lord is going to protect you. Neither also it is in them to do good. And let me tell you what, these Christmas trees, this Christmas holiday, is not even a holiday to do good because of all these crimes that happen on Christmas holidays. All the fights that break out, all the drunkenness that ensues, all the people that get drunk and drive and crash into things and kill people, all those brothers and sisters who get duped into celebrating Christmas, who are afraid of not giving them who are afraid of their mom not loving them because they didn't give them a gift on Christmas, going out and selling drugs for a Christmas gift, going out and being a whore to get a Christmas gift, going out and robbing someone just to get their mom a Christmas gift. Don't be afraid of them. Don't be afraid of your father. Don't be afraid of your mother. Don't worry about any of them for not celebrating Christmas. Because like Jesus Christ said in Matthew chapter 6, you can't serve two masters. You can't serve your father and your mother and do what they want you to do when you should be following and obeying the Lord. You can't be buying a Christmas tree and buying gifts for people when you should be obeying the Lord. Who's more important, your family or the Lord? What's more important, these children or the Lord? And we're going to get to these children. We'll get to that in a few. All right? All of them, neither is it to do good. This Christmas tree, this Christmas holiday, it can't do you evil and it can't do you good. All right? Let's drop that and let's get Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 30. Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 30. And again, if you can, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click that subscribe button, click that like button, share this video with your friends, your family, your loved ones, and make sure you click on that bell so that way you get you're one of the first to get these notifications, all right? Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 30. Take heed to thyself that thou be not snared by following them, after that they be destroyed from before thee, and that thou inquire not after their gods, saying, how did these nations serve their gods? Even so will I do likewise. We were supposed to destroy these altars, these fake gods. We're supposed to destroy the customs and traditions and religious beliefs of all these heathens. But since we didn't, we have been punished by the Lord, and now we're oppressed by these same heathens. And now we go after them. We want to learn how Christmas is celebrated. We want to learn how Saturnalia was celebrated. We want to learn how the god of Nimrod and how his followers were celebrated, right? But it says for us not to inquire after their gods. Don't ask how do these nations serve their gods. Don't worry about how Christmas is celebrated. Worry about how Hanukkah is celebrated, because that's your holiday, the Feast of Dedication. Learn how Passover is celebrated. Learn how the Feast of Tabernacles and the Feast of First Fruits and the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Learn how these high holy days and feast days are celebrated. Let's get Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 64. And we're under oppression under these oppressors. We're in slavery under the white man and the African man and the Asian man, right? We're under captivity. We're in oppression. And it was a curse from the Lord that if we were to disobey him, this is what would have happened. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people. And we're scattered all over the earth, especially here in America. Black, Hispanic, and Native American people are scattered all over, from one end of the earth onto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. Just like we worship that wooden cross, just like our people worship that Islamic rock in Mecca, just like our people worship Christmas and putting that wood, that tree in their house, serving that god of Babylon, serving that god of Saturnalia, serving Nimrod and the god called Saturn, that wood, that Christmas tree. Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 28. Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 28. And there ye shall serve gods, the work of man's hands, wood and stone, which neither see, nor hear, nor eat, nor smell. And we serve these gods. The work of the man's hands. That axeman that goes into the forest to cut down that tree, you carry it into your house, that wood, you serve these gods. You put gifts under these gods. You decorate these gods. You tie tinsel around as a prayer to these gods. You sing Christmas songs and Christmas carols in front of the Christmas tree to these gods. You bow down on your knees and sit around the Christmas tree to these gods. And these gods, they don't see. They can't see you because they're fake. They can't hear you because they're fake. They don't eat because they're fake. They don't smell because they're fake. These false gods which we have learned to serve. Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 5. But thus shall ye deal with them. Ye shall destroy their altars, and break down their images, and cut down their groves, and burn their graven images with fire. This is what we're supposed to have done. This is what we should have done in ancient times. And when Black, Hispanic, and Native American people finally get their act together and finally decide that they want to serve the Lord, then the Most High God will send back our King, Christ. And when he returns, this is how we will deal with the white man, the African man, the Asians, the Arabs. We will destroy their altars. We'll destroy the Christian church. We'll destroy the Catholic church. We'll destroy Buddhism's temples and Hindu temples. We'll destroy totem poles. We'll destroy the Muslim mosques. We'll break down their altars. We'll break down the wooden cross. We'll demolish and blow up that rock called Allah in Mecca when Christ returns. We'll cut down their groves and break down their images and burn their graven images with fire. All these statues that they built of baby Jesus and Mary and Joseph and angels and the Christmas and all the groves and orchards where they plant so that way they can have Christmas trees to sell in 15 years. We're going to burn all that. There's going to be no more Christmas celebrated. There's going to be no more Easter celebrated. There's going to be no more Muslim holidays celebrated. There's going to be no more Christian churches, no more Catholic churches, no more temples for Buddhism, Hinduism, Confucianism, whatever religion you think there is on earth, there won't be none of that. They're going to all be destroyed when Christ returns. But for all of you that want to keep worshiping Christmas, keep putting that idol, keep putting that altar, that image in your house on December 25th, Leviticus 26:1. God said, ye shall make you no idols nor graven image, neither reel you up a standing image. We're not supposed to have that Christmas tree standing in our house, decorated, putting gifts underneath it, singing to it. Neither shall ye set up any image of stone in your land to bow down onto it. And all of you bow down to this Christmas tree. All you so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans in this Christianity, in this Catholicism, you bow down to this Christmas tree, not knowing that it's a symbol of fake gods, that it was a symbol of the Babylonian god, of the Roman god. You're bowing down to it, bringing it gifts, decorating it, making it look pretty. But God said that you should not bow down to it. For I am the Lord your God, for the Most High God, Yahweh, the Most High power, he's our God. Not Nimrod of Babylon, not Saturn of the Romans, not Odin, not of the Norse, not Yule, none of these things. Now let's go back to that first the first link I gave you for Christmas on the history.com. I'm going to repost the link right here so that way you guys can click it again. right? I see a comment on YouTube. It says, Officer 50 Zawai. You're absolutely right. They tell our kids to put cookies out for Christmas and milk for Christmas for the so-called Santa Claus. But meanwhile, it's your mom and dad eating the cookies. It's not Santa Claus, right? Santa Claus, if we have time, we'll get into it, all right? It's fake. It was invented. We'll get into it in this article right here, right? So let's scroll down on this article I just posted, right? We're going to go down to where it says Washington Irving reinvents Christmas. It says it wasn't until the 19th century. In fact, Christmas wasn't declared a federal holiday until June 26, 1870, right? It wasn't until the 19th century that Americans began to embrace Christmas. Americans reinvented Christmas. I repeat, Americans reinvented Christmas and changed it from a raucous carnival holiday, because it was a holiday where people will commit orgies and get drunk and do all types of debauchery, into a family-centered day of peace and nostalgia. Right? Let's see. But what about the 1800s piqued American interest in the holiday? The early 19th century was a period of class conflict and turmoil. So the rich were fighting against the poor and the middle class, the Black, Hispanic, and Native American people who were slaves. You know, why are we celebrating Christmas when we were slaves during this time? It says the disenchanted classes often occurred during the Christmas season. During this time, unemployment was high, and gang rioting by the disenchanted classes often occurred during the Christmas season. So we're learning about how the unfortunate, the unemployed, gangs rioted all throughout this time during the Christmas season. And in 1828, the New York City Council instituted the city's first police force in response to a Christmas riot. So that's why we have the first NYPD. The first police force was created in response to the Christmas riots. This catalyzed certain members of the upper class to begin to change the way Christmas was celebrated in America. In 1819, best-selling author Washington Irving wrote the sketchbook of Geoffrey Cranen, a series of stories about the celebration of Christmas in an English manor house. The sketches features a squire who invited the peasants, so a man who had wealth invited poor people into his home for the holiday. In contrast to the problems faced in American society, like here we have the rich and the poor always going at it, especially during the 1800s, the two groups mingled effortlessly. In Washington Irving's mind, Christmas should be peaceful, warm-hearted holiday bringing groups together across the lines of wealth or social status. That's why people, whether they're poor or rich in Christmas time, they're all happy, they get together. But when Christmas goes by, the poor is still the poor, the rich is still the rich is still oppressing the poor is still being oppressed by the rich. Irvington's fictitious, his imaginary celebrants enjoyed ancient customs, like in Saturnalia, like in Babylon. One of these including the crowning of the Lord of Misrule. Now, the Lord of Misrule is when they made a child, the Lord of Misrule. This child was in charge of all the mischief to happen on this day, right? Irving's books, however, were not based on any holiday celebration he had attended. So he made all this up because he never attended any holiday celebration that he wrote about in the sketchbook of Geoffrey Cranen. So he lied about all these things in his book. in these stories. He never attended not one of these festivals to learn about them. He just made them up. In fact, many historians say that Irving's account actually invented tradition by implying that it described the true customs of the season. So because of his writings, he was credited as inventing the tradition of modern day Christmas. Everyone being jolly and singing. Meanwhile, it really goes way back to Saturnalia and to Nimrod, right? A Christmas Carol. Also around this time, English author Charles Dickens created the classic holiday tale, A Christmas Carol. The story's message, the importance of charity and goodwill towards all humankind, struck a powerful chord in the United States and England and showed members of Victorian society the benefits of celebrating the holiday. Now, here's when the kids come in. Here's when people say, well, I celebrate Christmas because of the kids. I do it for the kids. I give kids gifts for the kids. Oh my God, you don't want to do it for the kids? You don't want to give the kids gifts and celebrate the holiday because of the kids? You don't want to put a Christmas tree for the kids? You don't want to buy your grandchildren, your children gifts? We're doing it because of the kids, right? But let's see what this says. The family was also becoming less disciplined. That means family, we started to be less disciplined. We started to let go of our morals and our traditions and our beliefs. Just like Black, Hispanic, and Native American people, time and time again became less disciplined and decided to not do what Proverbs 22:6 says. We started to not train our children in the way they should go. We started to be less disciplined and more sensitive to the emotional needs of the children during the 1800s. We started to worry about how my child will feel left out if he didn't celebrate Christmas. How my child will feel left out if he goes back to school and he didn't have new shoes like all the other kids did. If he didn't get new toys like all the other kids did. We started to worry about how the kid will feel if he didn't go over to grandma's house and sing Christmas carols. This is what happens. The family was also becoming less disciplined and more sensitive to the emotional needs of children during the early 1800s. Christmas provided families with a day when they could lavish attention and gifts on their children without appearing to spoil them. So now we all need a day given to us by the white man, given to us by our oppressors, given to us by the devils, where we can give gifts to our children. It doesn't matter if our child got bad grades. It doesn't matter if our child stole from us. It doesn't matter if our children were disobedient for the entire year. But on Christmas, we worry about how they feel and their emotions. And we want to give them gifts and we spoil them. Meanwhile, we won't give them gifts for doing well in school. Meanwhile, we won't give them gifts for not celebrating Christmas. Meanwhile, we don't give them gifts for being obedient. Right? As Americans began to embrace Christmas as a perfect family holiday, old customs were unearthed, like in Saturnalia, like in Babylon. People looked toward recent immigrants and Catholic and Episcopalian churches to see how the day should be celebrated. In the next 100 years, Americans built a Christmas tradition all their own that included pieces of many other customs, including decorating a tree, sending holiday cards, and gift giving. So in 100 years, Americans, white people, with the help of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans joining their oppressors, their slave masters, created this Christmas tradition that we see in America. Decorating trees, sending holiday cards, gift giving, but it was actually them unearthing ancient customs like in Saturnalia, like on Yule Day, like on worshiping the Norse god Odin, like in Babylon and Nimrod. Although most families quickly bought into the idea that they were celebrating Christmas, how it had been done for centuries, they bought into this idea. They thought that for centuries, this is how Christmas was celebrated. Americans had really reinvented a holiday to fill the cultural needs of a growing nation. This is why Christmas is celebrated the way it is, specifically here in America, excuse me. Now, who invented Santa Claus? Now, let me let you know, we're going to read some things that might not be totally accurate, but some of them have its basis in truth, especially with the creation of modern-day Santa Claus. The legend of Santa Claus can be traced back to a monk named St. Nicholas, who was born in Turkey around 280 AD. St. Nicholas gave away all of his inherited wealth and traveled the countryside helping the poor and sick, becoming known as a protector of children and sailors. Right? When you do some research, you'll learn that St. Nick was a black man who traveled all around Russia, giving gifts to the poor children, helping them out, doing whatever he could to help defend and protect the children. All right. It says St. Nicholas first entered American popular culture in the late 18th century in New York, when Dutch families gathered to honor the anniversary of the death of St. Nicholas, Dutch for St. Nicholas, or Sinterklaas for short. Santa Claus draws his name from this abbreviation. In 1822, Episcopal minister Clement Clark Moore wrote a Christmas poem called An Account of a Visit from St. Nicholas, more popularly known today by its first line, "'Twas the night before Christmas." Everyone knows this. "'Twas the night before Christmas, not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse." This poem was made by this guy. The poem depicted Santa Claus as a jolly man who flies from home to home on a sled, driven by reindeer to deliver toys. And he slides down chimneys and all this crap, right? And he eats the cookies and milk that your children put out for him. The iconic version of Santa Claus as a jolly man in a red and white beard and a sack of toys was immortalized in 1881 when political cartoonist Thomas Nast drew on Moore's poem to create the image of old Saint Nick we know today. And it's very interesting that it's called Old Saint Nick, because I want you all to know what Old Saint Nick is, or Old Nick, Old Saint Nick, right? So here I'm going to be giving you another link, a quick link, just for you to click on to learn about Old Saint Nick, to learn about Old Nick, to know what it really means. So click on that link, and lo and behold, since the I.S.U.P.K, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, is the home of the truth, we're going to bring you some truth. Old Nick is a name for the devil, Satan. It says it's an informal or jocular name for Satan. Old Nick, the devil, Satan. Thesaurus, Old Nick, Judeo-Christian and Islamic religions, the chief spirit of evil and adversary of God, the tempter of mankind, the master of hell, Beelzebub, devil, Lucifer, prince of darkness, Satan, the tempter. This is what Old Nick means. This is what Old Saint Nick means. So when you leave cookies and milk underneath the Christmas tree, on the table, next to the fireplace, for Old Saint Nick, for Santa Claus, you're actually leaving cookies and milk for the devil, for Satan. You're teaching your kids to give gifts to Satan, just like you're teaching your kids that gifts are put underneath the Christmas tree for the god Saturn. Just like you teach your kids to decorate the Christmas tree and put gifts underneath it and bow down underneath it for the god called Nimrod, Satan. You're worshiping Satan. You're worshiping Saturn. You're worshiping Nimrod. All these heathen fake gods. That is what you're doing on Christmas. That is what you're getting your children to do, because you're worried about their emotional needs. They go to school the next day, January 2nd or 3rd. Their friends ask them, did you leave cookies and milk for Santa Claus? They're really saying, did you leave gifts for Satan? That's what they're really saying. And for my last scripture, I want you all to go to Joshua chapter 24, verse 15. Joshua chapter 24, verse 15. And this is the ultimatum. For all you Black, Hispanic, and Native American people that don't wanna serve God, that like on YouTube, Officer Zawaya, you just commented the link right above you, all right? For old Nick, the definition. All right? You have an ultimatum, Black, Hispanic, and Native American men, women, and child. And this is your ultimatum. Right here. Joshua chapter 24, verse 15. And if it seem evil unto you to serve the Lord, if you think serving the Lord is evil, if you think not celebrating Christmas is evil, if you think not putting Christmas trees and decorating and gifts underneath it and giving your children gifts so they can be happy, if you think that's evil, if you think it seems evil unto you to serve the Lord, choose you this day whom ye will serve, whom ye will serve. Because Christ said in Matthew chapter 6, verse 24, you can't be the servant of two masters. Either celebrate Christmas or celebrate the Lord. Either serve Christmas or serve the Lord. You can't do both. So if you want to keep celebrating Christmas, if you want to keep following the religions of Christianity and Catholicism and the Christian church, listen, decide today. Today's December 25th, 2019. Decide who you want to fear. Decide who you want to serve. Either Christianity, Christmas, Catholicism, Easter, Thanksgiving, what other? Halloween, Memorial Day, the 4th of July, or do you want to serve the Most High Power, God, the Lord of the Bible, the God of your forefathers, the God of Israel, the God of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans? Today you need to choose. Choose right now. Choose today. Don't wait for tomorrow. Choose right now who you want to serve. And if it seem evil unto you to serve the Lord, choose you this day whom ye will serve. Whether the gods which your fathers served that were on the other side of the flood, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land ye dwell. So you want to serve the gods of these heathens. You want to serve the gods that the people who lived before the time of the flood. They celebrated and served all types of gods, but they didn't serve the God of Adam. They didn't serve the God of Noah, so they were killed. So you want to celebrate and worship the gods of the Romans, the gods of the Africans, the gods of the devil, our oppressors, the white man. But as for me, you can go and celebrate them. You can go and celebrate Christmas. But as for me, and as for the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, but as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. We're going to celebrate the Most High God. We're going to keep and strive to always do our best to keep His law, statutes, and commandments. And if we fail, we're going to get back up and do it even better. For me and my house, we shall serve the Lord. We won't be celebrating Christmas in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Where they do that at? We don't do that in here. We're not going to be celebrating and giving gifts because of the children. We're not going to be doing none of that. We don't do that in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. They do that in the Christian church, though. They do that in the Catholic church, though. They do that in the Muslim mosque, though. They give gifts on Christmas. They celebrate Christmas. We won't be doing that here. So that concludes our Hudson Valley Israelite class, Wednesday class on Christmas. Make sure you click the link below to sign out for attendance. It's very important you show how disciplined and how much you're willing to sacrifice of your old way of living to end up to serve the Lord. All right? So make sure you click that attendance link, sign out for attendance. And don't forget, the link to our YouTube account it's in the chat. Make sure you click it, subscribe to our channel, like, share, click that notification bell. And don't forget about the Lord's Passover. The Lord's 51st Passover will be hosted by the Hudson Valley. We're very gracious and humble that Commanding General YAHANNA saw fit that the Hudson Valley, the camp leader, Officer SHALAM, myself underneath him, will be hosting the 51st Lord's Passover under the captain of all of New York, Captain Tazariak, a very diligent man that has helped train and raise up brothers all over New York under Commanding General YAHANNA for Christ, for the Lord. We're honored to celebrate the Lord's 51st Passover. So make sure you are in attendance at the Lord's 51st Passover. It will be in our backyard, the Hudson Valley. The Westchester Community Center is going to be a movie. I'm serious. It's going to be a movie. It's in this huge stadium. Back in the world, I used to work for a company where I would host medical professional events in this arena. Humongous. So listen, bring your mom, your auntie. If you're Black, Hispanic, Native American, this is where you should be. If we see you walking the streets of White Plains, the streets of Yonkers, streets of Mount Vernon, the streets of Newburgh, Spring Valley, Haverstraw, Pomona, West Nyack, Poughkeepsie, if you're Black, Hispanic, Native American, you should be at this Lord's 51st Passover in the Hudson Valley, in Westchester Community Center. All right. Now with that, I'm going to say Shalom. Yahweh Bashim Yashai, break a thumb to the brothers. Yahweh Shemal Thumb Bashim Yashai to the sisters. I am priest and officer of 1,000 of Shargapan of the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge under Commanding General YAHANNA. And since the 1960s, we've been trying to save our people. We've been trying to get our people to walk after Christ and to serve the Most High God. And this is our goal. This is our mission. And we're going to keep pushing and keep rocking until our people decide to turn back to the Lord, to follow after Christ like we do. So that way the Most High God can send our King, Jesus Christ, who you know, but in the Hebrew, Yahweh Shai Mashiach, back to us to save us from these oppressors, these devils. All right? And with that, Shalom.